Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Divine and in today's video I'm going to show us how to cut and sew this beautiful front twist dress. As you can see, so if this is something you're interested in, don't forget to like this video, share, leave your comment in the comment section and also subscribe to the channel. Thank you. So I've gone ahead to draft out the pattern for this tutorial, and this is the fabric I'll be using. This fabric stretches both ways and I'll be making use of 3 yards for today's tutorial. So I drafted out my pattern on fold because we'll be needing it for the front pattern alteration. So I have my body measurement, my bust, my round body, hip measurement and the gown full length. And for the neck measurement, I'll be making use of a neck width of 3.5 inches and a depth of 1 inch for the neckline of the back. And for the front neckline, I'll be making use of a depth of 7.5 inches. So I'm going to cut out the back neckline first. And after cutting it, I'm going to fold my fabric into 2 and cut the back of the dress first. So I added 1/2 inch to the neck area and the armhole area, but I did not add any allowance to the side of my dress because this fabric is really stretchy. So I'm going to cut out the front neckline now and open it up so we can alter our pattern. Now the first thing to do is to determine where we want our twist to be. So I want this twist to be on the center of my dress. So from the center of my dress, I'm going to be going up from the half length with 1 inch. After which we're going to be determining where we are going to be slashing on our dress. And the first point I'll be marking is on this shoulder here. I'll divide our shoulder measurement by 2. Then connect that midpoint to touch where we want our knots on the dress to be, which is on the center line. So we're going to be marking out different lines on the upper bodies where we are going to be slashing through. So from the mid armhole, I came down with about 1 inch. I connected it back to that midpoint on the dress. I came down from our armhole with 2 inches. I'll connect it to the midpoint of the dress also. Then I'll repeat the same lines I have here on the other side of my pattern. So the more the slash lines you are going to have, the fuller the pleats you are going to have on your upper bodies. I'll connect it. Now on the lower part of the dress, I'm going to come down from my half length here. On this side, I'll come down with 4 inches. I'll connect that 4 inches also to the midpoint. Then on this side, I'll be connecting from the hip line to this midpoint. Then on the other side also, from the hip line, I'll come down with another 4 inches that will connect to this. So basically, you want to look at the dress you want to come up with and determine where you want the slash to be. So on this other side, I came down with 4 inches and 8 inches and I'll connect it. So the slash line on this side is longer or comes lower than the slash line on this other side. So you just need to determine where you want your slash lines to be. And I also have slash lines on the lower part of my dress. So I'm just going to mark different points and connect it to that midpoint. So all our lines must meet at the point we are going to be having our knots. All our lines are going to meet on the parts we are going to have our knots. So this is what I'm having. So I will label this part. This upper area is going to be A. This side here is going to be B. The lower part of our dress is going to be C, and the other side is going to be D. So I'm going to use a red marker to highlight the part, and this is D. So this is what we are having. Now I'm going to be cutting out each of these parts. I'll separate it. So we're having A, we're having B, then we're having C and D. So this is it. Now we're going to separate these two. They take it 2 by 2. So A and D will become 1 and B and C will become 1. So I'll set it aside now, and on this D, I'm going to mark out different points on this side here. You can take an interval of 1 inch or 1.5 inch, whichever works for you. Then I'll connect those points to the tip like so, because we still need to slash open this D part so we can create fullness there. So after slashing through, I'm going to cut, but I'll make sure I don't cut it out all the way. I just cut to the tip like so, and this is what I'm having. I'll also cut out these lines on the A part. You can also decide to cut through the middle also. So this is what I'm having for the A part and the D part. Now I'm going to label these points so that we take note of it when sewing our dress, so we're not confused, because all the parts now will be looking alike. So I'm going to label it arrow to arrow, and on this part 0 to 0, and on this part star to star, and on this part cross to cross. I'll label it like so that when we are doing this, we're going to mark it on our dress so we are not confused. I've also gone ahead to slash this B part and C part open. So after slashing it, we're going to be spreading it out this way. So the X part, the X and the X, we're going to tilt it this way, and the 2X part must be facing each other like so. Then we're going to spread out. So before then, we're going to be adding a piece of paper underneath this so we can spread it very well and tape it down. So I'll add the paper underneath this. Then, like I said, the B part and the C part is going to become 1. So I'm going to be spreading it out like so, making sure the X parts face each other. So this is it, the X parts face each other, and the tip of the both of them are joining on the same point. I'll tape it down with my paper tape. Then I'm going to spread out this C part first. And when I spread out, I'm going to make sure that the skirt parts, the lower parts are arranged, the pattern lays flat. So if the pattern does not lay flat, you won't be able to cut the fabric properly. So make sure the pattern lays out flat, then you tape it down. So I did not measure exactly the amount of spread I'm having, but just bear it in mind that the more you spread out, the more fabric you are going to use, and the thicker your knot is going to be on your dress. So after taping it down now, I'm going to also do the same for this upper part. I'll add another piece of paper underneath this. Then I'm going to arrange. So if this is not arranging, you can always roll your paper tape and continue to place it so that it stays well. So this is what I'm having. You can make yours fuller than this. You can spread out more, but the more you spread, the more fabric you are going to be using. So after doing that, now I'm going to trim out the excess paper that is not part of our pattern. And this is what we are having for the B and the C parts. So they've become one like this. So after doing this now, when we're sewing, we're going to make sure the X part and the X part comes back together like so. So I'll set this aside, and for the A and the D part, we are going to be slashing this middle open. So you can have as many slashes as you want on your pattern. And for this A and D part, the part labeled arrow to arrow will be facing each other. So I'll put a scrap paper underneath this. Then make sure the arrow to arrow part faces each other for the A and the D part. Then we're going to spread out. So the arrow to arrow must face each other. You can see this other side is star to 0 or the star to O. So but the arrow to arrow must face each other. This part does not have to be the same. but that arrow to arrow must face each other. Then I'm going to spread out. So after taping down and cutting, I decided to spread out some more because I noticed the spread here was small. So you can spread as much as you want, like I said, but you will need more fabric when doing that. So the spread here was small, so I had to take out my tape and add more paper and increase the width. So this is what I'm having. And by the time I measure what I'm having here, I'm having 14 inches. So I have 14 inches, and for the B and C parts, when I measure what I'm having here, I'm having 10 inches. So you can decide to make the two of them 10, you can decide to make the two of them 14. Anyone will be fine. So for this A and D part, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to be cutting out my pattern, my fabric rather. And after cutting out my fabric for the B and C part, I'm going to be marking out the same signs I have on my pattern. The X and the X, I'm going to mark it on the fabric. This is very important, although we can't see it here because I don't want to use a marker on the fabric. So I must mark the point I have on my pattern. I must mark it on my fabric so we're not confused. Then I'm going to pick this X part and bring it to this other X part like so. Then I'm going to sew with 1/2 inch. But before I get to the end, I'm going to leave 1 inch opening where we're going to be passing this other pattern. So this pattern also I've cut out. I've added seam allowance to the neck area. I'm going to mark out the same markings I have on my pattern: the X, the O, the arrow, and the arrow. I'll mark it out. So this is it. So this arrow to arrow must come back together on the left hand side. So this is what I'm having. The arrow to arrow is on the left hand side. So I'll fold the D part like so. And when we're done sewing, this D part must come back to the left hand side. So you can see. So this is what, after sewing, this is the opening I said we're going to have, about 1 inch. Then I'll bring the upper part of my dress, which is the A and D part. I'll fold the D part like so and insert it through that opening on the B and C part. So I'll fold it like so. Then insert it through the opening I'm having on the B and C part like so. And you can see that after inserting, the D part came to the right and we want it to be on the left. So this is what I'm having. And to take this to the left, I'm going to rearrange, and by the time we check the markings we have, we'll see that it does not align because this D part must go back to the left. So to take the D part to the left, I'm going to tilt it, the D part, to the wrong side like so. After which, I'm going to compare what I'm having here and here, and it is the same. So I'm going to pick it together like so. Then compare what I have here and the lower part. I'll pick it together. Then compare what I have on this B part to the A parts, and it's the same. So you can see I've already sewn that C and B part. So the B and A part is going to be like this. So this is what we're having. Our twist has formed. But the thing is, the twist here is facing, the wrong side of the fabric is facing up, and we don't want that. So I'm going to take the D part back to the right and twist it from the under. I'll push it from the under. What we did initially was we moved the D part on top, but now I'm going to be passing the D part from underneath the fabric. So by the time you compare what we're having here, arrow to arrow, so we're going to be sewing that together, and compare what we have on the down, O to O. That is what we are having also. But if you are working with a fabric that does not have a wrong side or a right side, you can decide to pass your D part from the top or from the bottom. Anyone is going to work. But because we have a wrong side of fabric, when we passed it from the top, it was showing the wrong side on the front of our dress. But when we passed it from the bottom and arranged it properly, the front of the fabric was showing on the top. So I hope you understand that. So what I'm going to do now, before taking it to my machine, I'm going to pin each of these parts together so we don't mix it up when sewing. I'm going to pin all the sides together, the arrow to arrow, the O to O, and so on. So if we did not mark this fabric, we are going to be very confused. So after pinning it, I'm going to sew with 1/2 inch all the way, and I'm going to sew it very close to the knot on the center front. But I'm not going to sew on the knot, just very close to where the knot is. I'll pin it. Then sew with 1/2 inch close to the knot, but not on the knot. So this is what I'm having after doing that. This is how the back looks. I'm going to serge it so that the finishing is clean, and this is what I'm having after doing that. This is how our front twist is. Then what I'm going to do next is to finish up this dress. I'll close up the sides using 1 inch because of how stretchy this fabric is. So if you're not working with a stretchy fabric, you might need to add a zipper to the back of your dress. Then I'm going to attach a sleeve, then cut out 1 inch of bias using the fabric to tape the neckline, to pipe the neckline of this dress. Fix my sleeve, hem my down, and finish up the dress. So just go ahead and finish up your dress, and this is what we're having. Our dress came out so well. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye for now.